Today, I want to share with you a new language. This is a map that I'm going to show you all about your inner ecology. And surprise, this episode is now live on YouTube as video as well as audio. So if you normally listen on Spotify or Apple Podcast, you can head over to YouTube and actually watch and hang out with me there/here as well. You are listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern vitality. If you are seeking to reconnect with your innate vibrancy, you're in the right place. I'm Emily Davis, a seasoned holistic esthetician and herbalist. Join me as we unlock the secrets of ancient skincare practices, explore the beauty of seasonal and nature-based living, herbalism, and true holistic well-being for you and the broader ecosystem. This podcast is brought to you by Stratum Aesthetics. Head to stratumaesthetics.com to find curated skincare, body care, and other wellness products hand-selected by me. Now enjoy the show. Please remember that the information I share in this podcast is based on my personal and professional experience and is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not individualized skincare advice, nor is it medical advice. I encourage you to take charge of your own health decisions and listen to your body, seeking out the resources and professionals that best support your wellness journey. So what we're going to talk about today, like I said, it's a language and it's meant to help you strengthen your intuition, not disassociate from your body. It's to help you improve your own self-compassion, have a better relationship with your body, with your skin. It's also really great for helping you avoid arbitrary trends on the internet. This is actually something that's been part of every medicine system throughout history. And it's such a shame that it's not part of our culture now, because I think after you learn about this, you're going to be like, have a whole new world opened to you, is how it feels to me. This is a foundation for Ayurveda, for traditional Chinese medicine, traditional African medicine, for Irish and Gaelic medicine systems, for Greek medicine. This is something that you can pair with whatever you're doing. It's something you can pair with your mental health strategies, with your strategies that you're working on for any aspect of your health, and then, of course, for your skin. And so with that, let's get into it. This is a language for reading your inner ecology, your inner terrain. And think about how our bodies, our mind, our soul, we, ourselves, are a microcosm of the macrocosm. So we are a reflection of the earth. And I mean, think about it. Our creator created us, created the earth. Our creator has a style. And so what's going on outside of our window is also going on within our body. And so we have weather happening in the body and terrain. We have qualities and patterns happening, like hot and cold and dry and damp, tense or soft, fast or slow. And these aren't necessarily symptoms, they're patterns to notice within the body. And I'm going to share these patterns and how you can notice these patterns in your body. And then I'm going to share strategies for each of these patterns. But I do want to be clear that when I'm sharing strategies, I'm not saying like, do one thing and you are going to be healed. I think that this is a lifestyle and a practice, and it's all layers of putting things together, and there's strategies to help you feel better in your body. It's about learning to read your own terrain so that you can support yourself consistently I'm not giving you a protocol. Like I said, I'm giving you a language to understand, better body literacy. So each of these patterns has a spectrum, and you're going to be somewhere along the spectrum of each of these at all times. And the goal is to find balance within, and I'll talk about the balanced state of these. And it's not like we're always striving for perfection and that has to be some rigid thing that we're holding to, but we're just invited into this balance. And I think we should also understand that our body's not going to just be one thing. Like, I'm going to talk about heat patterns, and it's not like you're just all hot if you find yourself on the hot side of the spectrum in one area. Think of true terrain in real life. Maybe a mountain is hot, but then there's like you go down the mountain and the valley is cool, and maybe there's like a damp forest nearby, but like a dry ridge as well. And so we've got all of these different microclimates happening within one ecosystem. And that's the exact same thing with your body. So I'm really just sharing the basics of this today so that you can start to understand, start to listen, start to work in different ways with your skin. This can help you decide what type of face massage is better for your specific skin. Maybe you need something like cupping that's going to bring more warmth and circulation to the skin. Or maybe on the flip side, manual lymphatic drainage is better. This can also help you with your diet. Like maybe you have very dry digestion, but you're following the internet telling you to like load up on constant eating of protein, which protein is very drying. This is to help you listen to your own body first rather than to outsource everything to others. The first pattern I want to talk about is hot versus cold. And again, you're always sliding somewhere along this spectrum. And so hot is one extreme of the spectrum. And hot is like, those days when you're just like irate maybe, or you're just like feeling a lot of resentment, irritation, very focused type of anger. This is a classic sign of hot. I was at the gas station the other night, and I'm in Colorado, and it was the first snow of the year, or one of the first. And there was a woman there who was backing up, and there was a person behind her, and they kept like beeping their horn like, yo, I'm here, don't hit my car. And she slammed her car into park and got out of her car and started screaming at this person that she knew they were there. And I was watching this and I was like, oh my God, is this like a scary situation right now? What's happening? And I had just been working on notes for this podcast episode, and I was like, that is such a classic expression of like heat. It's like very focused, very fiery. And of course, I got back in my car and I had totally been judging her. And I was like, you know what? Maybe she's having the worst day of her life. I don't know what's going on, but I was just trying to send compassion because I was thinking about how uncomfortable hot is in your body. And it can show up obviously not just in your emotional landscape, but let's think about the skin. So heat shows up in our skin as like rosacea, lots of redness, maybe hot, inflamed, red, painful, irritating breakouts, maybe really red cystic breakouts. Maybe this is like a rash that's red and irritated. A lot of people will get that around their mouth, perioral dermatitis, around the eyes, periocular dermatitis. A lot of times these will have some very hot expressions to them. In your digestion, really hot Digestion can look like maybe heartburn or reflux or really fast digestion. Maybe you're hungry quickly after you eat, or you're having loose stools and it's just like very hot and inflamed situations in the belly. Maybe you overheat during workouts a lot, or your face gets flushed really easily. These are all expressions of hot. And so when we're noticing ourselves falling to one side of the spectrum or the other, there's a lot of strategies that we can incorporate into our lives. And so strategies for heat include taking a breath, doing some breath work, and taking a longer exhale than your inhale. So this is one reason why I love 4-7-8 breathing so much, where you're inhaling for a count of 4, uh, pausing for a count of 7, and then exhaling for a count of 8. This is a longer exhale, and this is very cooling for the nervous system, for the body, especially if you're having like nervous system or emotional heat, skin heat. Avoiding really hot workouts like hot yoga, avoiding stimulants, especially like nervous system, skin, digestive, all of the places where hot shows up, avoiding stimulants, avoiding alcohol. Caffeinated coffee can aggravate heat. And listen, I'm not here telling you what to do. I'm just sharing strategies for when you're feeling uncomfortable in your body. I'm thinking of a friend of mine who does have a lot of hot expression, and she always is like, I'm not giving up my coffee, so don't even go there. And I'm like, okay, it's a strategy for feeling comfortable in your body. Cooling herbs can be really helpful. I talk about linden all the time. Linden is just so cooling, so moistening. It's such a beautiful support or ally for these really hot, dry expressions. Rose is very cooling. Chamomile is cooling. Rose is very cooling. Chamomile is cooling. Cooling foods, especially if you're experiencing a lot of hot digestion. So things like cucumber, aloe juice. And then if you're feeling a lot of hot expression in your skin, some cooling strategies look like compresses with rose or chamomile. I love like a hydrosol mist. Laurel's hydrating elixir one is such a favorite of mine for cooling hot skin. Just that action of spraying a cool mist on the skin in general. Cool compresses. Maybe you're doing more of manual lymphatic drainage on your skin versus cupping. Cupping is not a good strategy when you have heat expressions on the skin. And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have cool or cold. And so this is going to look like emotional numbness, like apathy. We've got the opposite of that fiery passion with apathy. This is like low fire, low spark happening. You just can't get yourself moving. You can't get motivated to do anything. With digestion, this might look like a low appetite, like slow transit with your digestion. And maybe your skin is like dull, pale, dry, but not dry, like flaky dry, like tight dry. And it could have flakiness with it, but that's another expression. But you know when things are cold, when you're feeling like low fire, low spark happening. And so strategies for cold are, of course, to increase warmth in your life. So lots of warm drinks, warm ginger tea, even just water warmed in the kettle. Warming through movement, getting some gentle stretching in first thing in the morning, and then making sure to move your body. Getting light on your face, especially first thing in the morning. Eating warm cooked foods, warm breakfast with warming spices like ginger, cinnamon, cardamom. If you're going for more savory, things like cumin and coriander, and just starting to get some flow and warmth happening in your digestion. Putting on socks. I'm going to talk a lot about socks today because I just think they are so helpful for when your body's feeling uncomfortable. It's like a warm containment on your feet. It's like containing that energy around your feet. And so putting on socks, warming your feet, not walking around with bare feet on a cold floor. This is a big thing in Chinese medicine because our feet are where our kidney meridian actually starts. And so we just really want to support, especially in the winter, warming our feet and cultivating emotional warmth, right? So reading books and listening to content that make you feel warm, connecting with a friend or somebody who you love, cuddling, all of the things that make you feel warm inside are going to transfer to warmth throughout the body. And so with that said, the balance here is warmth. This is feeling emotionally present and not numb. You're feeling alive, but not totally wired or hot. You digest food easily. It doesn't feel painful. Your skin is glowing and full of life. It's not overly red. This is what warmth looks like. The next spectrum we're going to talk about is dry versus damp. And so dryness is a lack of nourishment. It's a lack of lubrication, a lack of tissue suppleness. A word that I talked about in last week's episode is called unctuousness. And so dryness is a lack of unctuousness, which is like a balance of water and oil and just like good tissue lubrication. And so when you're dry, you feel pretty crispy, maybe very brittle, like emotionally brittle, not a lot of flexibility happening, maybe insomnia or trouble sleeping, maybe very dry communication. Looks like somebody who has very short responses, very minimal communication when they're talking with you. They're not elaborating on things very much. Skin dryness, I think we all know what that feels like. Very, again, tight, which is similar to cold, but maybe we also have flakiness happening here. Maybe chapped lips, lots of tiny fine lines. Dry digestion can maybe look like constipation with stool that's like more pellet-like. Dryness also is like low resilience, so low adaptability to life. And so strategies for dryness are anything that's going to be more unctuous, that lubrication. So thinking like warm roasted root veggies, anything that's sweet. And I'm not talking like a ton of sugar, but what's in nature sweet. So lots of root veggies have a sweetness to them. Carrots, parsnips, sweet potatoes, marshmallow root is a beautiful herb that's like the classic herb for dryness. Adding more grounding and unctuous lubricating oils to your food like ghee and tahini and olive oil. So think like those healthy fats that we want to add to combat dryness. Basically just foods that moisten. So thinking broths, stew. I talked about how protein can be very drying. And so if you're eating a lot of protein and it's drying out your digestion, maybe looking at more moistening proteins like bone broth or balancing it out with more moistening foods. Moistening herbal teas like marshmallow, linden, licorice, oat straw. These are all great to sip throughout the day. Hydrating skin strategies. Again, any type of like a nice cooling hydrating mist, making sure that you're balancing oil with water in your skincare routine. Facial massage is amazing if you have dry skin. Just getting some movement happening in there, some lubrication, facial steams. I feel like I need to do a whole episode about face steaming because it's such a magical, beautiful ritual that almost everybody can engage in. And it's like a lovely, hydrating, quiet moment. Um, Balms are such a great thing for dry skin. If you've never used a balm as a moisturizer, I highly recommend it. The Laurel balms I carry in my shop, they're my absolute favorite ever. The night balm and the recovery balm paired with a hydrating elixir is like best thing ever for dry skin. I would know growing up here in Colorado. I am well acquainted with dehydrated and dry skin. So, on the other side of the spectrum from dryness is dampness or heaviness. And so, this is like too much moisture without enough fire to move it and create a healthy flow of that water. And so, this can feel like heavy bogginess, like you're wading through molasses. Maybe it looks like water retention within the body. Puffiness, especially like puffiness around the eyes, puffiness around the ankles. And, there may be an actual like medical diagnosis for what symptoms you are experiencing. And again, these aren't symptoms, they're patterns, but that doesn't mean that the pattern isn't there if there's a medical diagnosis. So maybe you have lymphedema and it has been diagnosed as that. And that's not to say there's not dampness happening. Like it's the same thing, just a different language, a different paradigm. And other expressions, maybe this is like very mucusy, very brain fog, a hard time getting moving, a hard time again with motivation. And this may feel like a damp bogginess if you have a hard time with motivation. Or it might also just feel like coldness. And so it's all about understanding, how does this specific moment feel in my body? Skin dampness can feel very like pillowy, kind of swollen, lots of puffiness happening. And so strategies for dampness: definitely reducing sugar. Like I said, sweet is going to be hydrating, but sugar is a little bit more than like that natural sweetness that we get from a sweet potato. And so excess sugar can be very damp building on that extreme side of the spectrum. Warm water, especially with lemon in the morning, movement that's going to create circulation. So like a brisk walk is really good, really nice, flowy movement and exercise. Rebounding is amazing for moving dampness. But let's talk about the middle path, which is just straight up juiciness. So this looks like hydrated skin that's bouncy and buoyant, eyes, lips, mucous membranes, joints that are all just like lubricated and healthy feeling. Emotionally, we feel flexible and fluid. Juiciness just means good nourishment. Okay, so we've gone through two qualities so far. We have two more left. So the next two extremes on a spectrum are windy versus stagnant. And so windy is like a lot of nervous energy, lots of like scattered thoughts, anxiety, nervous system activation. Windy can be like when you're jumping from task to task. I know that I find myself doing this sometimes, where I go into a room and I start doing something, and in the middle of that, I realize like, oh, I also need to do this. And I like start doing that without finishing the first thing. And I'm just like jumping all around. That's classic windy energy. just not being able to finish a task or a project, emotional reactivity, maybe like racing thoughts, insomnia, trouble sleeping can be a windy pattern. Shallow breathing. When you get one of those eye twitches that just won't go away, that's very windy. Restless legs, even things like ringing in the ears, vertigo. Wind is very attracted to the ears because they're like a hollow space with a lot of tiny nerve endings, and they sit at the top of your body. And this is where wind energy rises. And so, a lot of times when we have like ringing, popping, things within the ears, this can be an expression of wind. Even jaw clenching can be an expression of wind that comes from the ears. Even like sensitivity to loud noises or maybe sensitivity to overhead lights. I mean, you can just think of like when you are feeling really sensitive to overhead lights, how that does feel very windy. And so, windiness is a lack of containment. So, when we're thinking about strategies for this quality, thinking about like grounding, soothing, things like a weighted blanket, again, warm socks, warm foods that are grounding, stews, lentils, warm grains, things like this, having a routine. So, this feels so intuitive that doing rhythmic, repetitive things is going to help offset this windiness. Just like really working on this containment and having borders and boundaries in your life. On the other side of the windy spectrum is going to be stagnation. This can look like in the skin, maybe lots of lymphatic congestion under the jaw, so lots of fluid trapped in this area. Maybe the neck is getting thicker. Maybe we're seeing a lot of breakouts, especially cystic breakouts along the jawline. Even just simple congestion and blackheads within the skin. This is a sign that things are not flowing. Stagnation within our emotions can look like feeling stuck in your life, feeling a lot of pressure, maybe feeling some resentment, maybe feeling creatively blocked, or just feeling really pent up. If we think about digestion, stagnation can, of course, look like slow digestion. Maybe this is like constipation that's just like you feel really full all the time and things just aren't moving. And so, strategies for this stagnation, of course, are going to be bringing more flow back in. So, flowy exercises, yoga, cat cows. Oh my gosh, getting that spine mobility going. Of course, walking. I'm such a big fan of walking. I think that it's such a great way to get things flowing both mentally, emotionally, physically. Doing things like dry brushing and sauna and getting some sweat happening. The balanced place between windy and stagnant is really just being in flow, feeling creative flow happening, like a steady energy. So, the next after windy and stagnant, the final is going to be tense versus lax. And so, tense, of course, we all know when we're feeling tense. Maybe our muscles are really tense. We're clenching our jaw again. Maybe in the neck, we're feeling a lot of tension. The traps, I think of that. Maybe your shoulders live up by your ears. This is all signs of tension, right? Maybe you just feel really rigid and inflexible. Um, Maybe you're having difficulty receiving. That's such a beautiful way to practice letting go of this tension, is just practice receiving from others. That's such a lovely way to step into a more feminine softness. Within your skin, I think of like tension lines. So the 11s can often come from tension because we're holding tension in our brow. When I'm massaging clients' skin and I'm doing like skin rolling movements, I can often feel tension, whether that be from muscle tension or inflexible fascia, adhesions there. Oftentimes, tension around the mouth can be a big issue and can really be blocking flow in that area. And so, strategies for tension can maybe look like castor oil packs. Oh my gosh, I carry my favorite castor oil on my shop. There's the castor oil and then the pack. A lot of people think that you have to only do castor oil over your liver, and that can be really helpful, especially for our last quality when we were talking about stagnation. Love castor oil there. But it also can help to melt muscle tension. So I'll put a castor oil pack on my neck all the time, my low back. It's amazing at how it helps to release that so quickly. Any type of like warm body oiling. So the Pavani Tridoshic body oil, this is the product highlight of the month in my shop right now online, which I'll link in the show notes. And I love this for Abhyanga. This is beautiful, really for tension, for windy patterns, for dryness. It's going to help create that containment for windy patterns, but also helping to soothe muscle tension. Warm oiling is such a beautiful medicine for the body, for the emotions, for the nervous system. This is something you can do like, I don't know, twice a week or so. And then the other side of the spectrum with tension is laxity. And laxity is when the tissue doesn't have enough strength to hold structure. And so maybe this looks like weak muscle tone, weak core. So in the skin, this is going to look like a loss of elasticity, that loss of the bounce back. Maybe skin is starting to sag a little bit more. Maybe this looks like weak boundaries or crying easily. There's not a lot of containment for your emotions. And so laxity almost always pairs with coldness and dampness, and warmth is going to bring tone into our body. And so some strategies to invite ourselves back into that healthy balance of like supple tone can look like bringing in warm beverages, again, warm meals, protein and collagen rich foods, bringing in some gentle weightlifting. Again, bringing rhythm into your life, those daily routines. So, those are the four qualities. To recap, we have hot and cold, we have dry and damp, we have windy and stagnant, and then tension versus laxity. And I just think this is like such an amazing language to understand. It's such a amazing type of body literacy, and it's such a shame that it's not talked about in our culture more. So this is something that you can bring into your skincare. It can help you to know what type of facial massage might be best for you, what type of products might be best for you. It can help you to not fall into trends on the internet, herbal trends, food trends, whatever it is, because you know your body so well. You have this just newfound intuition about your body. And learning about this is just such a beautiful way to feel more comfortable in your body. I, for example, will get like freezing cold when I get anxiety, and I started to notice that. And, that's like a windy expression. You can think about how windy can often also be pretty cold, and it's not like that lack of spark cold, it's like windy cold. And I'm feeling it when I'm anxious and amped up. And after I've learned about this, I know when that happens, like, okay, I need some containment here. I need to put on some warm socks with some magnesium body butter on my feet, and I need a weighted blanket. And I just need to bring a little bit of that weight and grounded characteristic back into my life. And it's been such a game changer to just be able to know about that and be able to know how to feel better faster. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If you are watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and just let me know that you're watching. I am excited to start doing this as video. It's definitely a learning curve and it's a little bit scary. So I'm hoping that it'll get easier, just like the other podcast episodes did. But if you're enjoying this, please reach out. If you want more from me, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter called Moonday Notes. This is just a love letter from me to you every single Monday in your inbox. And make sure to head over to the Stratum Aesthetics shop. You can find things like castor oil packs, like magnesium body butter, the tridoshic body oil, which I love for Abhyanga, that body oiling. I'll be back next week, and until then, be well. You've been listening to Skin, Earth, Vitality. If you like what you heard today, consider giving me a 5-star rating. It helps other people just like you to find the show. You can shop products and find all of my offerings on my website, stratumaesthetics.com, and follow me on my social channels at Stratum Aesthetics.